In 1992, a very young 22-year-old woman with big hopes and dreams came to Eisenhower High School in Blue Island, Illinois. She walked into a classroom filled with intimidating-looking students and thought to herself, nothing is impossible. She gave the underdog a chance to be a star and the class punk rocker who everyone made fun of a place to belong, where every race, gender, and social status was welcome and accepted. Her dream was to take this motley crew and turn them into a singing, dancing workforce called a show choir. A wise woman once told her, in order to be successful, you need to be the first person in that parking lot and the last one to leave. She made her dreams come true and gave hundreds of others the chance to make their dreams come true with a little hard work, sweat, dedication, and love. This is a story about my high school music teacher, my mentor, my big sister, my best friend, my rock, Lynette Kesten.
She and I did not get along when I was in high school. She hated me. I remember one time I would come to like a choir concert with like a wrinkled tuxedo shirt, and she's like, Brian, you need to iron your shirt. And I'd throw it at her. I'd be like, you iron it. I was such a dick to her. So anyhow, as the years went on, and then David graduated high school, and then she and I ended up like getting close, and then I became president of show choir, and I was like the first Eisenhower four-year member to graduate, or to finish Eisenhower Express, which was like the show choir. And that was like back in the 90s when no one really knew what show choir was. I would watch her dog when she would go out of town, and I would go and when I graduated high school, I bought a one-way ticket to Vegas, and I started performing in this little show on the Strip, and it was like a family review show. Then I moved to Los Angeles and I started working for this producer. She was the producer of Solid Gold in the 80s, which was like this, this dance thing before, I think it was before like MTV, where they would like dance the hits throughout the decade, or throughout like the hits of the week. They would have them dance. They were getting rid of costume. She asked me to send a bunch of stuff to Goodwill. And instead of sending it to Goodwill, I sent it to my old high school, and I addressed it to Lynette. So that's when she and I became like really close friends. And I mean, even in high school though, like she paid for me to go to show choir camp out of her own pocket. And she's a high school teacher, she didn't have that much money. So she would pay for me, and she would buy my brother clothes because she thought that my brother, my mom didn't have enough money to buy us clothes because he was such a slob growing up. So, but that wasn't that. My mom would buy him nice clothes, but he didn't want to wear them. So my mom was all pissed off at Lynette for buying us clothes. But anyhow, and then she sent me to music. That's just the person that she was for me. Then I think it was like the 10-year anniversary of her working for Eisenhower. And I decided to do a special tribute for her that I started it off with Jason Mordell. And Jason Mordell is a kid from Robbins that comes from the trailer park and, had broken out windows and couldn't get a ride to school. So she would get written up for taking him to school in the morning, for picking up and taking him to school in the morning because she couldn't have students in her car. But she wanted to make sure that he'd get to school. So she'd get written up.
This is the most special thing that has ever happened to me. And a few years ago I lost my mom, and I probably would have thrown myself in front of a bus if it hadn't been for these kids, because God love them, they still needed me every day. They were still coming to me with problems, and I felt that I had a reason to put my pantyhose on and come to work. And because of them that I'm still here, largely.
When I broke up with my boyfriend, I was like 21 years old in a really abusive relationship. She wrote me a check for $1,200 and said, get out of that apartment, you need to get into your own place. She goes, don't tell Dennis. she and I started working together, teaching the show choir. I had like the junior varsity group, and she had the varsity group, and then I would help her with the varsity group, and we would sit up at night and like sew costumes and watch episodes of the Osbournes, and then she got diagnosed with lupus. I didn't really know what lupus was. I just started getting worse and worse and worse, like really fast. I mean, it happened in a matter of months. And she started dying. I remember just wondering what I could do. What could I do to like make her smile? I mean, we would play in her wigs and stuff, because she ended up losing her hair, so she had all these wigs and hair extensions and stuff, and we would play, and we'd play dress up. And she goes, "Don't tell your father." I don't think I realized that it was going to be as fast as it was, to be honest with you. And she moved to Palm Beach, Florida. She wanted me to come out there and be her assistant with her to do these shows. And then, in the meantime, I got a call from I have several best friends. One of my best friends, her name's Lindsay, and she wanted me to move back to LA with her to start a camp for overweight kids. So I thought, well, do I go to Palm Beach, Florida, or do I go to LA to start this camp for overweight kids? So I decided to go to LA with Lindsay. So then I was teaching this spin class. Well, it was Friday morning, because I taught this spin class at 8:30 in the mornings on Fridays at this time in California, in Los Angeles. And I had a spin class at 8:30 that morning, and I got a phone call at 6:30 in the morning saying that Lynette had 45 minutes left to live. So I woke up and I was like, fuck. So I get up and I get out of bed, and I had never lost anybody before that was close to me. And so I got up and I got out of bed, and I went and I taught my class, and I knew that in my class, or during my class, she was gonna die in the middle of it. And that was all I could think about. That was all I could think about in my class, was that she was dying, and I would never see her again. That was my rock. She was the person that made me who I was. And I couldn't imagine never seeing her again. So after my class, I bought a ticket to Chicago, and that day I was there. That was a Sunday. And, it takes a few days to plan a funeral, so I was in charge of planning her funeral because, well, Dennis was in charge of planning the funeral, but he was a fucking mess because he was, he just lost his wife. And so I decided I took the funeral into my own hands, and I just did it. And I invited like 13 years of her former students to be in the choir so that they could sing to her. So the choir at her funeral was 13 years of the students that she taught music to. And I put it all together in like 3 days. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do when she died. So that's what kept me busy from going crazy. And I remember after people saying that was the best funeral I've ever been to. That was the best funeral I've ever been to. Who says that? Thank you. Thank you. I wanted my friend.
Lynette and I met on our
Laggards in New York. My friendship with Lynette is the single most important thing that I got out of that year. It was, we were in each other's lives for good at that moment. There was no doubt that we were family. And she just taught me everything I know about spandex and sequins. But more importantly, she taught me about love and passion and dedication.
Lynette Mulder has always been a woman of talent. You may think it was because of her beautiful singing voice, her 2 master's degrees. Maybe it's because she directed high school concert choirs that were mistaken for college choirs, or that she directed award-winning show choirs. But I'm talking about a different kind of talent. Lynette Mulder had the ability to drive a stick shift, talk on the cell phone, do her makeup, and paint her toenails all at the same time. And that is talent.
Lynette was dynamic, tremendously talented, naturally intelligent, so funny, so good-hearted, caring, and she had a fabulous wardrobe. She believed in me when I couldn't even believe in myself. She gave me hope and inspired me to be my best. Lynette brought dignity and great class to our music department at Eisenhower. She was always a first-class act, sewing the kids' costumes by hand to make sure that each costume fit perfectly and that each kid was shining no matter how tall, short, fat, or thin he or she was. It was always remarkable to me that through her music, Lynette was able to reach so many of the unreachable kids at Eisenhower. She had magic to turn rags into riches and reach that unreachable kid. I'd also like to thank Brian Heckler for being such a good friend to Lynette. Brian really did such an amazing job of uniting all of the students over the last 12 years, bringing everyone together and planning a beautiful program tonight. Lynette would be so proud of you.
Humbly I ask thee, teach me thy will, while you are working, helping me be still, though Satan is busy, but God is real, order my steps, please order my steps. hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your hopes be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll walk on with the hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll
Lynette, I miss you, princess. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about you. Here's the story of Lynette Kesten.